Welcome to day 3 of the 5-day transformation. I'm your host, Samantha Kierkegaard, and I'm super excited to have you here today. I'm taking you through the 5 essential steps to get your marriage back on track and rekindle newlywed love. Here's what you'll be able to do when you follow these steps. You'll be able to lead yourself with love, and no matter what goes on around you, you'll stand out as a source of inspiration to other wives. You'll be able to resolve conflicts quickly and reunite your family. Last but not least, you'll know exactly what to do or say, or what not to do or say to get your loving husband back at any time. Remember him, your loving husband that you married? Yesterday was about managing our communication, meaning managing the amount of words that come out of us so that our husband speaks more without being afraid that we'll get mad at him for what he's saying. This means that in the future, we'll also be able to speak more words to him, words that he's able to hear and understand. Today's step is removing verbal garbage. And it is about what a difference a single word makes. So think about the song with Loving Spoonful. What a difference a day made. And then exchange day with word. Your choice of word may seem like an unimportant detail, but it is not. I'm telling you, ladies, this is so important. When you master this step, managing your mind grows exponentially and you'll be able to get exactly the husband that you want. It is not just about what you see is what you get. What you say is also what you get. So here is your homework, ladies, and this one is for life. Never ever say or think a negative thing about your husband. Be really stubborn about this one thing in your life, and your love life will flourish. So in order to be able to not even think a negative thing about our husband, here's what you need to remember. All relationships bring out trauma. It's just the way of the world. It brings out your trauma and his trauma. So for example, my husband was deeply traumatized about the vision of his mother throwing away his toys or pretending to, and him taking it out of the trash for her to get him to learn to clean up. So the result was that today, when he thinks about throwing anything away, his heart literally breaks. It takes him back to that time. I felt abandoned and unwanted. So when I first met my husband, I just acted completely crazy and insecure that anyone could love me. So whatever it is that our memories have inside of us, they just come out when we meet true love. It's just the way the world works. It's nobody's fault. It is because both feelings and memories are stored in the same brain. The amygdala brain stores feelings of rage or fear or pleasure, or memories of rage or pleasure or fear. So just know, ladies, that when he triggers you, it is a childhood memory that's triggered. It's not even about him. He's just triggering it. It's already in you. So it's not about him. It's not about whether or not you should be together. It is only your own childhood memories that are triggered. Remember this fact. That's just what happens, and you trigger him as well. It is nothing personal, really. It's a trigger of memory and emotion because they're stored in the same brain. So apart from realizing this, here's what you can do concretely right now, here today. Simply exchange all negative words with positive. So for example, take slow, lazy, unambitious, and indecisive. I had to look, I forgot the fourth word. Take those words and exchange them with being really patient, present, thorough, and grounded. That's the flip side, right? There's always a positive to a negative. So if you think your husband is slow, it's actually because he's also patient. So just think about the positive of this trait. And when I made this list, voila, I actually got the list of things for me to work on in my personality to be not just a better person, but also a better leader. So when I saw this, it was a huge revelation. My husband was actually put in front of me to learn exactly these skills. Things that triggered me so much about him was my gifts of learning. And when I learned those, I could grow as a person and step into the leader I always aspired to be. So if he hadn't come into my life and triggered the hell out of me with his slowness, I would never have learned these things. So it was just a great revelation. Until this day, like for the last 3 to 4 years, I've appraised my husband daily. I've thanked him in interviews when I talk to clients and they say thank you to me for something I said to them that was super, super helpful. I thank my husband. I tell it's all him. So my husband has taught me all of these things that I just in the beginning just triggered me, and I was like pointing to him, you're so slow or you're lazy, like. And I never, until I realized that that's what I need to learn, and that's a super good quality that I lack in me that he has in him. When I realized that, I just started thanking him daily. And if you've watched my interviews, you'll see I never ever say anything negative about my husband. So he has taught me by example how you behave well, but also by all the triggering things. And I know he triggers other people in this area too, but there's so much wisdom in these triggers. And when you learn that and you realize that, it just becomes easy. Just make it a habit, never ever to say or think a negative thing about your husband. So when you get together with your girlfriend, there can be a tendency like to nag about your husband, or you need to let it out, you need to vent, you're frustrated. Don't say or think a negative thing. And if your friends or the circle you're in, they start to say something negative about your husband or husbands in general, just flip it, thorough. I'll go like, honey, you're so thorough, right? That's what I said. Years ago, I changed that. I never even thought slow. You're so thorough. You're so grounded. And you can also play with it a little bit for fun. Just exchange those words. Find the flip side. That's your homework, apart from the one for life. Write in the Facebook group or reply to this email the flip sides of the negative words that you can think or say about your husband. It's not even about what you say to him. This is about what you think or say about him to others. Of course, also to him. Manage that as well. But that can happen. Like we can lose it if we say something that we regret. That's instinctively. But if you want to train your brain, this is like the number one thing that changed my life. So you go back and watch. I never ever said a single negative thing. I always thank him. Even though it was tough learning and he put me in some impossible situations, there was always a gift of learning. Okay, so I want to sum up why this step is really, really important. So first of all, when you say or think a negative thing about your husband, it stands in the way of connection, not only connection to him, but your connection to the loving woman that you are. And it is in that loving woman, all your powers lies here in your ability to give and receive love and be a loving woman. So you kind of cut off your power supply when you say or think negative things about your husband. It just works like that. You lose your powers the same way you lose your powers when you blame or you shame, when you think negative things about him. Because you're not in integrity with who you really are when you do that. So stay in integrity with who you really are. And second of all, don't miss out on all the great learning. It's a learning right in front of you that you miss when you point to him and say something negative about him. You don't get all the positive feedback that's there, all the positive things in front of you that you can learn. So accept that you have gotten triggered, and you maybe still get triggered, but just know that that stands in the way of your connection with your husband and yourself, who you truly are, and that stands in the way of learning. As soon as you shift that, you will learn and see exactly why he's in front of you. There is a reason he's in front of you. There's a reason you feel that way. There's a reason you get frustrated, and that is okay. But flip all the negatives to the positive, and you do that, and your whole life just, it's magical. So I cannot wait to see what you have to share with me about the flip sides of the things that you say or think about your husband that are not positive. Okay, so share with me in the group, reply to this email, and let me know the flip side of the things. And never ever say or think a negative thing about your husband again, and your mind will just flourish and attract wonderful things, and you'll get exactly the husband that you want. Okay, I'll see you in the Facebook group. Bye-bye.